It is the 16th of June. We've just got the thunder rolling in, which is quite interesting for the actual area that we're in. We're at Castle Rising, and Castle Rising is well renowned for being built in 1138 for William II. Now, the thing with Castle Rising, we can see from the actual main viewpoint here, it was very much a domestic household for quite some time. But where it gets its notoriety from is from people like Chris Holton, the ghost hunter, and from various other like Eerie Place websites and things, that give you the tales of how the castle was meant to be haunted by Queen Isabella, the Queen of France, who, there's two schools of thoughts about this. One will say that Isabella went absolutely mad and was a lunatic and then ended up dying. The second one will turn around and say, the second school of thought will say, well, she was beheaded. There's such a mixed controversial aspect over the actual story and history there, but what we do know is fact is that Queen Isabella did reside here for a period of time. She was here. And the stories are that you can still hear her lunatic ghost laughing and crying from the tops of the towers. So when we go inside Castle Rising, we have a look around it now. It certainly has a calm energy here, I think, to be fair. I wouldn't say it's anything that sounds or feels quite weird, but it's certainly a certain feel to it, that's for sure. Let's go and have a look. Okay, great. So we're now on the upper part of the floor of the castle, where the locals have said that day and night they hear Queen Isabella in her lunacy screaming and shouting. I must admit, standing here in awe really, if you just want to pan around and see, it's quite a small castle, but in comparison to many others, especially those in Scotland, certainly Sinclair Gurnigo, which I'm going to be a bit biased about obviously, but Sinclair Gurnigo Castle is at least 6 times this size, at least, and then it's got all the underground tunnels, which is fantastic. But here, people say that she runs up and down the corridor here, screaming and shouting, which was towards her demise of a later part of life as she went. She was almost oddly in exile in her own country, well, not in her own country, but in the country she'd made her home. She was almost exiled to here. Whatever the stories tell you, whatever history tells you, she was almost in exile because of what she did. So let's have a feel down here. As we walk down, you can almost get a sense of what it would be like to be clearly a lot shorter than I am today. But you want to get a sense of what it would have been like. Is there anything here? I think there's a presence here. But what we need to ask ourselves more of a question is, what's the connection between Snettisham, the church at Snettisham, where we've already seen in film, Castle Rising here today, and later on a graveyard of a gypsy boy on the outskirts of Newmarket? Now all 3 of those are connected, but I'll leave it to you to have a look and see why and how they're connected. But I think there's some truth, some elements of truth, definitely, in these castle walls, if only they could tell the tales. One of the upper floors of Castle Rising, and the first thing that's coming through this tiny entrance there, I've got the most amazing buzz, the most amazing feel. If anything was happening in this castle, it's happening right here, right now. The tingling sensation I get all over my body is just absolutely amazing. It's hard to describe, but there's also a sense of breathlessness as well, quite intense breathlessness. We're just going to go really quiet and say, is there anybody here that wants to say anything to us whilst we're here? You just give us a sign that you're here. Something that shows. I mean, the acoustics in this place as well. Can you hear? Noise. Wow. So we're just going to ask again, because this has been designed this way. Why? Why would this particular part of the building be so acoustically pleasing, just from me speaking? So, then we come to Castle Rising, come up to about the 3rd floor, to what's known as the Fore building, the Keep Fore building. And then you'll see, as it says, the upper room was created in the 13th or 14th century. It was created in the 13th century, we know that. So that's not a big thing there. But it's more about the sense that you get, just the intensity. I'll just try again and say if there's anyone here that wants to let themselves be known. Just any type of sign or words or Scrooge. I don't know, but I do feel really, really warm now. Quite sweaty almost. But what's also interesting, just notice that, is that the plaster, you see, the plaster part of the exposed part of the wall, but the different designs is quite bizarre, isn't it? You notice how the brickwork comes up at an angle there, which is quite strange. I mean, this plastering is relatively new, to be honest. It's not overly old. And the floor is so uneven that we can see that we've got the original tiles here, what it would have looked like back in the day. The tiles all over the floor covered. In fact, there would have been a design here, this was a feature, wasn't it? We can see the feature, it's actually like almost a diamond cross that we can see. So that's a feature of the flooring. There would have been something else over along the lower parts, but this is clearly a feature of the particular room. Which asks the question, why have such a room like that? Even down to these parts here, we've got the plastering. I don't know if you can see at the angle, you've even got some kind of weird shapes going on here with the old beams and things. So I think this room could probably tell quite a few stories over the time, but it's certainly, now since we've been in here talking, the energy's now calmed down again, which is quite bizarre. It was quite intense, quite raised, and now it's gone really calm and low. So that's quite interesting in itself. So we're in the top part still, just outside of that acoustic room, and you do, as my cameraman said, you get a sense of being followed around since that room, which is quite interesting. And even just in this corridor, I'm getting such a buzz, and there's almost like a weird blur about the corridor. Now, people can say that's rubbish, we can't see it. Come here and experience it. Experience it for yourself and see the truth. There's definitely something going on here. There's definitely something. I'm just going to ask it one more time. Is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to say to us to give us a sign that we know that you're here? Just to say hello? Okay, we'll leave it there for now.